Hi guys, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a poppy seed cake with a lemon curd filling and a lemony buttercream to go on top of it. It's a really delicious cake. It's one of my favorite cake combos, especially for the spring and summer time, because that lemon curd is just really tasty. So let's go ahead and get started. For our cake batter today, we are going to be using 1 cup of butter, that's 2 sticks, and I'm going to go ahead and beat those a little bit before I add anything else, get them all nice and broken up, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in my sugar. I'm using 2 cups of sugar today, and we're just going to add that into our butter and let that cream together nicely. And after I've added my sugar, I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. That's our main flavoring for this cake, so very important there. And after that's been all mixed together, we're going to add in 6 egg whites. Now you can use the carton of pasteurized egg whites, that is perfectly fine, or you can get them straight from the egg, that works too. And after that's all been mixed in, you just want to go ahead and scrape down your bowl. And then we're going to add in 3½ teaspoons of baking powder. We're also going to begin adding our flour. As a whole, we're using 3¼ cups of flour, but we actually want to add that in 3 separate additions. So I'm just adding 1 cup of flour with my baking powder and then giving that a mix. And then after that has been mixed in, we want to start adding in our buttermilk. As a whole, for our buttermilk, we're using 2½ cups of buttermilk, but we want it to be in 2 additions. So we're going to add half of that, mix that up, and then we're going to add another addition of our flour and give that another mix. And then we'll add the rest of our buttermilk, and then we'll add the rest of our flour. Once all of your buttermilk, all of your flour has been mixed in there, you just want to go around with a spatula. Just make sure you're getting any flour off the sides, any butter that might be stuck to the bottom of your mixing bowl. And then we're going to add in 3 tablespoons of poppy seeds. Now you can add more or less just depending on your preference. I like to make sure that my dough has, or my batter has, basically poppy seeds evenly throughout it so that they show up really nice and beautiful in the finished product. And then I just have 2 9-inch prepared baking pans here, cake pans. And I usually just eyeball this, just kind of trying to get an even amount in each. Usually I end up with one that's a little bit bigger than the other because I do that. If you want to be very correct about it, making sure that each layer is perfectly the same, you can put these on a kitchen scale and do it that way. We're going to bake these in a 350-degree oven for about 25 to 35 minutes. You just want to check for doneness. You will see one of mine turned out a little bit lighter than the other because I had one that was a little bit too fat and that one had to cook a little bit longer. All right, now we are on to our frosting. We are going to use 2 cups of unsalted butter here, and I'm just going to let that mix really well before I start adding in my sugar. And for our sugar, I'm going to use about 5 cups of powdered sugar. Now, I like to just taste along the way. What I like my frostings to be is not too sweet, but also not too buttery. It should taste like frosting when you taste it. It shouldn't taste like pure sugar, and it also shouldn't taste like butter. So after I've got that mixed together well here, I'm going to start adding in some lemon curd. I'm using about 1/4 cup of lemon curd. That will give us a nice lemony flavor. It will also help to loosen up the frosting a little bit. But I did find that I needed some heavy cream as well. It didn't give me quite enough moisture to get to the right consistency. So I added in about, I think, 2 to 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. When you're adding your heavy cream, you want to go 1 tablespoon at a time. Add the cream, mix it, and then just making sure step by step that you're not adding too much and making your frosting too loose or potentially splitting it. Now what I'm doing here is just piping a wall of frosting here. I'm going to do a double line of frosting. That's going to make a little barrier so that I can put my lemon curd in here and it's not going to splooge out of the sides. I think that I used about 1.5 cups of lemon curd here. And you just want to fill it up to basically where your little wall barrier stops. So you don't want to fill it up over that because then again you'll have it splooging out the sides. So lemon curd here, and if you didn't catch last week's video for that recipe, I will link it in the end credit for you. And then I am just putting on my other cake layer here and just pressing it gently so that it kind of cements to that little frosting wall, but we don't want to push it too much. Now I'm just doing a crumb coat with my frosting. This will basically catch the crumbs from the exterior of the cake so that it doesn't get on the outside frosting of your cake. After I've got this crumb coat done, I want to just refrigerate this for at least 10 minutes up to an hour to kind of set that. And then I'm going to go ahead and go in with my frosting and do the outer layer of frosting. Now, if you feel like your inner layer, your crumb coat of frosting was a little bit too stiff, you can just re-whip your frosting with a little bit more heavy cream. That should loosen it up nicely, and you can go around and frost your cake. Now, I smoothed mine out, but really you can do whatever you want at this point. You can leave it kind of wavy, you can do whatever you want. It's a cake, you're frosting it, you can have fun with it. Now, after I smoothed mine out, I just went in with my piping bag and made some little swirls here just to make it look pretty. And instead of using anything like sprinkles, I decided to use my poppy seeds. Why not use what's inside of the cake to decorate the outside of it? So I just decorated this with a little bit of poppy seeds on top, and this is what it ended up looking like. It tasted delicious. It looked really cute. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you have any questions about any part of this, feel free to leave me a comment. I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I will see you back next week. Bye-bye.